How's it going, everybody? This is Kaiana Miller from the Hear Me Out Sports Podcast. We're talking about weekly running back stardom and situm. Week 10, let's get to it! Okay, like I said, we're talking Week 10, but of course, as always, we're going to review Week 9, how my advice panned out. So overall, I was 69% on my predictions. I told you to start 19 different guys. 11 of those guys were worth the start, meaning they scored at least 13 points. I had one big miss, and that was D'Onta Foreman. Game script really worked against the Panthers, and that definitely hurt to D'Onta Foreman, especially since he's not a receiving back. I did have 4 close calls that missed. That's sad. On the sit side, I told you to sit 20 guys. 16 of them you should have sit. Only 4 of them were worth even starting. So I only had one big miss, and that was Jeff Wilson in his first game with the Miami Dolphins. I was a little bit surprised there. So overall, 69%. Again, my advice has been pretty on point the last few weeks. So keep checking me out, keep watching these videos, and listen to my advice. Week 10 buys, we got the Bengals, the Patriots, the Ravens, and the Jets all on bye. Bengals, you're sitting Joe Mixon coming off a near 50-point fantasy performance. Patriots, Ramondre Stevenson's been a top 3 back the last 4 or 5 weeks. The Jets, Mike Carter, James Robinson, and then the Baltimore Ravens. I like Gus Edwards. Kenyon Drake scored 2 touchdowns. Sitting all those guys because, again, their teams are on bye, so sit all those guys. Running backs, okay, starting off with our Thursday game, Falcons-Panthers. This game was a high-scoring one in Week 8. They both scored at least 30 points, with the Falcons prevailing there at the end with some missed kicks by the Panthers' Eddie Pinheiro. But Atlanta Falcons, I expect Cordero Patterson to find the end zone at least once, whether that's receiving or rushing, and I think he's worth a start. Tyler Algier, while he's still involved in the offense, I don't expect him to see enough opportunity this week against Carolina to be worth starting. On the Panthers side, I'm going to give D'Onta Foreman another chance. I think that the Panthers, especially, I know they've announced P.J. Walker, but I don't think P.J. Walker is going to play well. I think Baker Mayfield will re-enter the game, and I expect D'Onta Foreman to benefit from that. So starting D'Onta Foreman, sitting Chuba Hubbard, sitting Raheem Blackshear. Seahawks-Bucks, starting Kenneth Walker III. He's proven to be legit, so definitely starting him every week. On the Bucs side, I'm starting Leonard Fournette. He still hasn't relinquished his starting role to Rachaad White. I thought it might happen last week, and it still hasn't. So Leonard Fournette, definitely still starting him. I don't know how he keeps doing it, but he keeps being worth starts. So starting Leonard Fournette. Vikings-Bills. On the Vikings side, I'll start Dalvin Cook, of course, every week. He's been a little bit disappointing a few different weeks this year, but I'm still starting him against the Bills. I'm sitting Alexander Mattison. On the Bills side, I'm sitting all their running backs, specifically Devin Singletary and Nyheim Hines. I'm definitely worried about Josh Allen not playing this week, or even having limited ability this week with his reported UCL injury. Nyheim Hines, I think, would be a beneficiary of Josh Allen not playing, because I think that the backup quarterback, who's Case Keenum, would have to check down the ball quite a bit to the running back. So I think Nyheim Hines could actually benefit if Josh Allen doesn't play, but I'm not starting either of the Bills running backs this week. Lions, whoever starts between DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, I'm going to start against the Bears, and whoever doesn't start, I'm going to leave on the bench. On the Bears side, I'm starting Montgomery this week. I think that they'll run the ball more because they'll be able to. The Lions aren't great. And Khalil Herbert, I'm leaving on the bench, even though I think that he could have a sneaky good game too. Broncos-Titans. Broncos, I'm sitting all the running backs until I figure out who the heck is going to have the most opportunity there. They just added a third running back to an already muddled situation. So Melvin Gordon, Latavius Murray, Chase Edmonds, sitting all of them. Not going to start any of them until I can figure out who the Broncos are going to actually use going forward. Titans side, you got to start Derrick Henry, coming off another good game. He's been awesome since week 2. So he had week 1, week 2 weren't great for Derrick Henry, and since then he's been awesome. Jags, Chiefs, Travis Etienne. I mean, they traded away James Robinson a couple weeks ago, and even before that, he was already starting to break out, and he's just broke out even more since. So starting Travis Etienne, he could be a league winner this year. Keeping him in your lineups for sure. Chiefs side, very similar to the Broncos. I mean, I just don't know who's playing out of those 3 running backs, who's going to have the most opportunity. So McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm not starting any of those guys. Cleveland Browns versus the Miami Dolphins. It's going to be a Nick Chubb Kareem Hunt game for the Browns. I think that on the receiving side, Amari Cooper could definitely get involved. You can check out my wide receiver video where I mentioned that and talk a little more in depth on that. But I think Nick Chubb's going to have a good game, and I think that Kareem Hunt will see the receiving opportunity that he needs in order to be worth a start, because I think the Dolphins are going to be winning in this game. On Dolphins side, Jeff Wilson Jr., I mean, Mike McDaniel went to him week 1 with less than a week of prep. So give me Jeff Wilson Jr. as the starter in Miami. Looks like Raheem Mostert might be losing grip on that. Houston Texans, New York Giants. Dameon Pierce continues to impress. I told you to sit him last week because I didn't think he'd score a touchdown. I thought he'd need to. He didn't score a touchdown, which I was right on, but he still had 140 yards rushing, so he was worth a start. I missed on that guy last week, and I got to put him in my lineup. I got to start him every week from here on out. So Dameon Pierce definitely starting. New York Giants side, I'm starting Saquon Barkley. They're coming off a bye. I think they're going to be able to run the ball a lot against the bad Texans defense. Saints Steelers. Alvin Kamara had a bad game, but I think he'll bounce back against the Steelers, especially no J.J. Watt still. No T.J. Watt still. So Alvin Kamara, yep, he's a must start. Steelers side, Najee Harris has been bad all year. Probably the best prediction that I had going into the season is how bad Najee Harris would be, and he has been. And then Jaylen Warren, who I think is better than Najee at this point, I'm sitting him as well. So no Najee, no Jaylen Warren, put them on your bench. Let's start Alvin Kamara. Indianapolis Colts and the Las Vegas Raiders. Josh Jacobs didn't have a great game last week, but I do think that he'll have a lot more success against the Colts defense, so I'm starting Josh Jacobs for the Raiders. On the Colts side, the Raiders defense hasn't been good, so Jonathan Taylor, if he starts, I'll definitely put him in the lineup. I'll start him on my fantasy teams if he's playing this week for the Colts. Deion Jackson, I don't care if Jonathan Taylor's playing or not. I'm not going to start Deion Jackson. He's not who people think he is. Leave Deion Jackson on the bench. Cowboys and the Packers. So Cowboys, I'm actually starting both running backs this week. I think that both score touchdowns. Zeke's going to score one, I think, on the ground, and Tony Pollard might get one receiving. So I'm starting Zeke. I'm starting Tony Pollard, especially in a game against Green Bay where I think they'll be winning the game early and we'll kind of run the ball to just kill the clock throughout the rest of the game. So give me Zeke, give me Tony Pollard, both starting against the Packers for the Cowboys. And on the Packers side, I'm starting Aaron Jones. He's going to get plenty of receiving work in a game that they're going to be trailing against a really good Cowboys defense. And I think his receiving work is what propels him to a start this week. And that's if he plays, if Aaron Jones plays. A.J. Dillon, whether Aaron Jones plays or not, I'm not starting A.J. Dillon. He's not the dude. He's not the number one that some people thought he was. He's not the 1B even. He's the clear 2 in Green Bay, and I don't think that he's worth a start. Cardinals, Rams. No one on the Cardinals is worth starting at running back. They're kind of got a timeshare going there too. James Conner was first game back from injury last week, and he didn't do much. Benjamin didn't do much. I'm sitting both those guys against the Rams in what I think will be a shootout, and the Cardinals are going to have to try to score as many points as possible throwing the ball. Rams side, if Kyron Williams is activated this week, I'm just going to start him on the flyer that, hey, maybe he falls in the end zone. Maybe Sean McVay is trying to prove a point to his running backs and gives Kyron Williams plenty of opportunity. I know there was big reports early in the preseason that they really liked what they saw from Kyron Williams, so I'm starting him if he plays, and it has a lot less to do with how good I think Kyron Williams is and a lot more to do with the opportunity that I think Sean McVay is going to give him. But I'm sitting Darrell Henderson. I don't care if Williams plays or not. I'm sitting Darrell Henderson. Chargers, you got to start Austin Eckler. He's, I think, leads the league right now amongst all positions in points per game. So definitely starting Austin Eckler. San Francisco, even though, again, he's entirely receiving dependent, which is just wild for a running back to get the kind of receiving volume he's gotten. He's been pretty horrible rushing the ball. I've said this before, but his receiving work is really propelling him. So you got to start Eckler. On the San Francisco side, Christian McCaffrey, proved last week he is who he is, and he is who everyone thought he was. So Christian McCaffrey in that Shanahan offense looked awesome. Definitely starting him and definitely starting Eckler this week. Commanders versus the Eagles. This is our last game of the week. It's our Monday night game. Commanders, I'm not starting Brian Robinson. I haven't liked him at all since the preseason. I've told everyone that. So Brian Robinson hasn't done anything since he's been named the starter in Washington. So definitely leaving him on the bench. And Antonio Gibson, I do like Antonio Gibson's abilities, his versatility, but I think playing against the Eagles, who are coming off a bye, the Commanders are really not going to be able to do much on offense. So I'm sitting both of their running backs this week. And on the Eagles side, again, I think that they're going to be up big here against Commanders and running the ball plenty. So give me Miles Sanders worth a start. And in deeper leagues, Kenneth Gainwell, if you have to throw him in there, throw him in there. I don't think he cracks 13-plus points, but I think that Kenneth Gainwell could have a sneaky good game. But starting Miles Sanders for sure for the Eagles. And that wraps up our Week 10. As always, I'm here to answer any questions that you guys may have. I'm most responsive on Twitter. For whatever reason, my YouTube notifications don't always come in fast, so I don't see stuff sometimes for a few days. But Twitter is immediate, and I'll get back to you guys as soon as I possibly can on that end. And Instagram as well. We're responsive on there as well. So hit us up with any questions you guys might have. I'm always here to help, and it's always free. In fact, you guys might make some money if my advice messes you guys up and you tell me what your league fees are. Willing to help out on that end. So here to help you guys with whatever you need, whenever you need it. Just DM us on Twitter, or you can just tag us in Twitter, and we'll get to you as fast as we possibly can. And same on Instagram. We love helping people out. We love bringing the joy of fantasy football to different people throughout the country and throughout the world. I mean, not everyone can play D1 sports. I have, my two brothers definitely have, and we all enjoy playing those sports. But fantasy football is fun because everyone can do it, whether or not you were born athletic or we're just born a midget. I'm not tall, but still, we like doing it. We like helping people out. So get at us with your questions. Let us know what you think. Like, subscribe, or dislike. I don't really care. Just tell us how terrible we are. Engage with us. Let us know what you think. As always, when in doubt, hear me out.